I mean, the bottom line is this. At this particular hour, if you believe the polling, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance with black voters since Richard Nixon back in 1960. Not 68, since 1960. That's 64 years ago.
I mean, the reality is that for the first time in 32 years in this poll, it shows that Republicans are beating Democrats straight up. When you ask people the generic ballot in 32 years, it shows that Donald Trump's doing better with black voters, Hispanic voters.
It's 25 days before the election, and I got to say, it's not looking that great for the Democrats. I mean,
what happened last week is that what was working with female voters with Kamala Harris was that there was some feeling of joy in the air. Well, that joy is gone. And she tried to recover by going on The View, which a lot of women watch. She went on The View, you talked about it earlier, and she wanted to clarify the two most important issues that are facing these two candidates, the economy and immigration. And she bombed, and she went out there and said there was nothing she would do that would be different than Joe Biden. She created a campaign commercial for Donald Trump. She's trying to recover. There is no joy in the air, and everybody knows it, and it's obvious that there is a leak in the balloon here in the Kamala Harris campaign.
I mean, the bottom line is this. At this particular hour, if you believe the polling, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance with black voters since Richard Nixon back in 1960. Not 68, since 1960. That's 64 years ago.
this is not a good sign. You know, when you have an African-American candidate, you probably shouldn't be having to shore up your support among black men, but that's what's going on. Tim Walz is headlining a voter engagement event tonight with black men. Who better to connect with young black men than Tim Walz?
Among Hispanic voters, Donald Trump's going to put up the best performance for Republicans since 2004 and George W. Bush. All right, so party ID nationally. You go to October, November of 2016, Democrats had a 3-point advantage. You go 4 years ago, Democrats had a 6-point advantage. Look at where we are today, Manu. Republicans with a 1-point advantage. A very different picture.
No, absolutely not. And maybe a reason for that, too, is remember, she's the VP in an unpopular administration. Look, we asked Joe Biden's policies as president. Do you think they're helping or hurting your family? Look at that. Almost 2 to 1 say hurting more than helping. His job approval rating is in the low 40s. And then here's the twist. When you ask folks, when Trump was president, were his policies helping or hurting? Look at that difference. 44% say helping, 31% say they hurt. So retrospectively, Trump is getting some numbers here.
Very much mirroring what we see in the party registration numbers in those key battleground states, and Pennsylvania in particular.
It actually just shows you, too, why Harris is doing what she's trying to do. She's trying to moderate a little bit on these issues, trying to reach those very voters, because the party registration is changing, and the demographics of the voters are changing. And those are the people she needs to attract.
Absolutely. And you know, the GOP leads by a point in party identification right now. The average when the Republican Party loses is the Democrats ahead by 8. When the Republican Party wins, the average party ID advantage for Democrats is 3. Republicans right now, Manu, are doing even better than the average when they win. If there's one little nugget that I think Republicans are really hopeful for, it's this party ID and this party registration data. It really points in a good direction for them and for Donald Trump.